hoping this is actually recording, because what I was having the problem with, the slideshow's ended. Do you like to stop recording? No, don't ask me again. Okay, I want this to keep recording.
No, I wouldn't. I didn't know either.
Okay, so, oh, and I want to put this on, bring this down. We will get to that after a little while. I want us to do a quick run through of the vocab first, and then we're going to talk about grammar today, because we're actually getting into the content of lesson 2 now, not just katakana. Okay, so we're gonna encounter some katakana for reading practice, but I want you guys to also keep practicing the katakana. Okay, but we're gonna go ahead and work on dainika doreru, which, does everybody know what that means? Dainika doreru. Yeah, lesson 2 drill. Tango. Vocab. Hi. Okay, so here's our first vocabulary word. Kore. Okay, does everybody know what that means?
Over there.
No.
It's this right here.
This right here. Okay, so
I don't know.
No, it's Kore.
okay.
Kore is like you're possessive.
Well,
So-
it's not really
Or
possessive.
not possessive, but it means it like within reach.
So,
So
do. Okay. So there are multiple sets of sort of pronoun type words in Japanese that start with these syllables. The ko ones are always close to the speaker. The so starting ones are always close to the listener. Okay? The a ones are always far from both. Far from both people in the conversation. Okay, and the don't ones are always question words. Okay? So there's your little key to understanding how far away something is from you.
Can you give an example?
We're going to get into them. Okay?
It's in the book.
It's in the book. And so kore is an example of a ko one. And the re ending lets you know that it is one of the ones that means this, that over there. So by the fact of the combination kore, you know that it means this close to me, to the person speaking. Okay, so if you're the one talking about the thing in your hand, you're going to use the word kore. Okay, make sense? Okay, so let's do a little pronunciation practice with it. Kore. Kore, 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 kore. Okay, and it means this, near me. Okay, and since this generally means near the person speaking anyway, most of the time we just translate it as this, right? Okay, so therefore, sore is going to be that, okay, near the person you're speaking to. Okay, so if I'm talking to Ken about his textbook, I would say sore, and he would say
Kore.
kore. There you go. Because it's closer to him than it is to me. Make sense? And if we're both talking about that clock up on the wall, we could both say are, because it's far from both of us. Make sense?
Hi.
Okay. This one is
Dore.
dore. And so that one is going to be asking
Which?
which. It's the question word that relates to kore, sore, are. So if you, dore desu ka, it's like asking, which one? Which is it? Okay, dore. Okay, now, kono is also a variation of this. The difference is it ends in no. What do you guys remember about no as a particle? It connects what to what?
A noun.
A noun to another noun, right? Therefore, the ones that end in no are always directly followed by a noun. So like kono hon, sono enpitsu, ano toke. Okay, there's always a noun immediately afterwards. We'll talk more about the grammar of this after we go through the vocab list. Daijoubu desu ka? That was an amazingly good catch. Okay, so kono means this something or other.
Yes.
Okay, this thing, this one. Okay, kono. Okay, let's practice saying it. Kono,
Sono.
sono. So that would be that one over near the person you're talking to. Ano. Ano would be that thing over there, right? Far from both of us. And then dono would be which, like which thing. Okay? So like dono hon desu ka? Which book is it? You know, something like that. Okay, and now the third set, the ones that end in ko sounds, are location. So koko is here, this place, right? Soko, there, that place near you, okay? Asoko, that place over there somewhere. And asoko can be places that are within sight or beyond sight, either one. If it's far away from both of you, it's asoko. So that door could be described as asoko desu, right? But if you're also talking about, say, the McDonald's that's down the road a few blocks, that's also asoko, okay? Or the restroom around the corner, that's asoko, right? Make sense? So that's talking about location. Where is it? Asoko desu. You know, like if somebody asks you, toire wa doko desu ka? Where is the bathroom? Asoko desu, right? Make sense? So doko obviously is where. Okay. And then dare is a different question word, which means who. Okay. And oishii means delicious, right? Okay. Sakana, fish. Okay. Hi, tonkatsu is a pork cutlet, yes. The katsu part could be done in katakana and sometimes is. It's from katsuretto. Okay, the ton part means pork, and it's sometimes written in kanji. Hi.
What is tonkotsu with an O?
Good question. I would have to see it in context or with the kanji involved to be
'Cause
sure.
I know there's tonkotsu, but there's also tonkatsu.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with tonkotsu.
What did you
Hi.
say? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm not familiar with that one, Jamie. Sorry. Did you have a different question?
What did you say? Just pork was by itself? Kon?
Well,
Or
ton
ton.
by itself isn't a standalone word for pork, but it is the kanji for pork being read in that particular
Okay.
fashion. Butaniku would be what they call it as a standalone if you're just talking about pork meat in general.
Okay.
Buta or butaniku. Buta is a pig, so butaniku is literally pig meat. Okay, so niku is meat, right?
Menu.
Hi, menu. Okay, can everybody read that katakana? Menu. Just what it sounds like it means, right? So let's practice that. Menu.
No, it is.
Right. This one is
Sai.
yasai.
Vegetables.
Vegetables. Right.
Just
Yasai.
Sai.
Okay, what's this one?
Enjutsu.
Enbitsu means
Pencil.
pencil. Right. Kasa. Umbrella. And don't you love the kanji for it?
Yeah.
Looks like exactly what it is.
Except the rain looks like it's like.
underneath the umbrella.
Well, those are actually person symbols.
Oh, okay.
So it could represent 4 people huddling under one kasa, or it could represent the struts holding up the canopy piece, right? And then the cross piece is the part that you push up there, you know, so depending on how you want to picture it, that represents either 4 people sharing a kasa or the struts holding the protective part up. And you've got your no handle there. Either way, it's a very descriptive little kanji. I always thought that was a fun one. Kaban, bag, yes. Shoes, yeah. Wallet, yes. Hi, one of those. Saifu.
That's my phone.
Saifu desu.
What's in
Oh,
here?
it looks like a saifu though.
Kind of.
Kind of. There you go, saifu. Okay. Jeans.
Jeans.
Hi, some of you are probably wearing jeans right now, right? Okay. Jisho. Somebody owns one and it's sitting right back there. Jisho desu. Everybody know what that is now?
Dictionary.
Dictionary, right?
Doesn't say it on
Bummer.
there. Shop dictionary.
Jitensha.
Bicycle.
Bicycle, yes. And again, kind of a fun kanji combination. This is the meaning that means like personal or self. This is something that turns, like turns over. And this is a wheel or vehicle. So it's like self-turning wheels or personal turning vehicle. So jitensha, it's pretty descriptive. Fairly useful, isn't it? And you'll notice that the turning one actually has the wheel kanji as a piece of the turning kanji. Because what turns? Wheels, right? So it's a very descriptive little kanji combo there. Hi, shinbun, newspaper, and this one is new and to hear. So what have you heard that's new? What's the news? Shinbun. Interesting, right? And if you go back to ancient times when very few Japanese people were literate, most people would have heard the news because somebody would have stood in the middle of the village and read a broadsheet. Because there would have been a few educated people in town who could actually read all those kanji, and the rest of them couldn't. So somebody would stand there and read the news to everybody. Shinbun. Hi, CD. Yeah, CD. What you listen to if you're doing your listening homework for this class, right? CD.
I was curious, like,
Uh-huh.
you know when you have to do those combination, like, with the vowels to make something that
Yeah,
there isn't, like, normally, like, for that one, like,
Yeah.
there's no D, so you
right.
do you
Yeah.
sort of default to the A one?
You do whichever one fits that vowel sound. Oh, you mean for the large letter? Well,
Yeah.
they default to de and te for the T's and D's because the cheat wouldn't do the job. Then you know, the su wouldn't do the job, right? Because then you get tsui or tsi, not T or D, right? So it depends on which column it's coming
I mean,
from.
is there any, like, reason you couldn't do, like, or O, or just A?
I guess they
works
default to,
better?
I guess ed just seemed more logical to whoever invented these. I know that with the Fs, there's only the fu to work with for an F sound.
Yeah, I
So
think that
that's
makes
the
sense.
default, that makes sense. T's and D's, I think, they only had ta, te, to choose from. So I guess for T and D, the te and de seemed closest because e and e are closer seeming sounds than a or o would be. I think that's why. In general, these combination ones seem to stick as close to the E as they can because you remember the other combinations, the traditional combinations, all come off of like ki and she and chi and all those, right? So I think they try to stick closer to that where they can. So maybe that's where they're getting it from. I'm not really sure. So she, toke, clock or watch. Yes, so the toke refers to any kind of timepiece. It's a general word for clocks and watches. If you wanted to be specific, ude toke is a wristwatch. Ude means arm. So you can wear an arm watch, or you can talk about just clocks and watches in general. Okay. Okay. T-shatsu. Some of you are wearing one, yes. Right, T-shatsu. So like what Ken's wearing, what Julianne is wearing, those would count as T-shatsu. What Bethany's wearing. If it's a button-down shirt, they wouldn't count that as a T-shatsu, right?
Now, the last time we looked at this word, it had,
The letter T. They alternate, just like CD can be written with just the letter CD. But for the sake of the katakana practice, reading, and also with the sake of knowing that it's a Japanese word, not the English, I chose to do these in katakana.
but practice-wise,
Like on the test or whatever, it's not wrong to write it with the English letter, but I would rather you did the katakana and show me that you can.
no, but what I mean is like in practice, like if we're going by t-shirts.
Like in Japan, they are interchangeable. So some places might write T-shatsu this way, and other places might write it with the letter T.
Okay.
And the same thing for CD and DBD. Some places will spell it in katakana, and some places will write the letters in the English alphabet in all caps. Yeah, it's partly, I think, for Japanese people, it's a function of whether they're trying to appeal to a more conservative demographic, katakana, or the young hip crowd, English letters. Yeah, that's kind of where the dividing line seems to go. Which means notebook, right? Is a pen, exactly what it sounds like, pen. Boshi, hat, yes, a hat. Boshi is a hat. Okay. Hon is book, yes. Toire, right. Toire, yeah, it's toire. So, yes, it's shortened form of toilet, and it means restroom in Japanese. It doesn't just mean the physical commode itself, it means the whole restroom. Toire. So, and they use that very commonly. Toire ni ikimasu. I'm going to the bathroom, things like that. Right. Kore wa? That's a small tsu, so. Right, kissaten. Cafe, yes. Kissaten. Right. Ginko, yes, a bank. Yeah, this is actually silver, and I think this kanji in this context could translate as something like a repository. So it's like the place where you keep your silver, ginko. Ginko. Hi, toshokan, that is a small yo, good. So toshokan. Library, yes. Maps and books, building, toshokan. Kanji can be very useful sometimes, right?
Back to Gincho.
Yeah.
Is it
Ginko.
I mean Ginro.
Yeah.
Does it also mean, Gin means silver?
Yes, yin by itself means silver. Yeah. In fact, I don't know if any of you have investigated like sightseeing spots in Japan at all, but Kinkakuji and Ginkakuji are two of the famous temples in Kyoto. Ginkakuji is the one that's translated as silver pavilion. It's not really silver. The plan was to cover the whole thing in silver leaf, but they ran out of money and never did it. So Kinkakuji, the golden pavilion, is actually covered in gold leaf, the entire building. But they never got around to finishing ginkakuji. So that one is actually weathered wood. And a lot of people who don't like things that are too garish actually find ginkakuji to be more beautiful because they never coated it in pure silver. So yes, so gin by itself is gold. And if you look at the breakdown of this one, we will learn this kanji probably next semester or the semester after. But that is the kanji that means gold, and it also, by extension, means metals in general. And so it's in the names of a lot of metals, including this one, gin, silver.
Now, is it most metals, or like copper?
Yeah, most metals have a kanji that includes this word that means metal as a component of them. That's one of the cool things about kanji is once you learn certain fundamental ones, you keep seeing them popping up over and over again in other related concepts, and it makes it a lot easier to learn your new vocabulary when you recognize a lot of the components in it. So here we have yubin-kyoku, postal service, office. Yubin is the postal service, kyoku is an office. So yubin-kyoku is the post office. Yubin-kyoku. Right.
America.
Hi. I think everyone knows where that is, right? Right, America.
Igiris.
Right. Yes, this one's England, Britain. I don't know where that name came from. Best guess, some other language, not English.
I can sort of see how they got Iglees from England.
Yeah, it's sort of kind of there, not very close. but-
Holland.
Yeah.
Or-
Orlando, yeah,
Orlando.
yeah.
Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kankoku is
Korea.
Korea, right? Generally refers to South Korea these days. Kankoku.
We don't talk about North Korea.
Yeah, nobody likes to talk about North Korea. They're scary. Chugoku, China. And this kanji means middle. This kanji means kingdom. Ever heard of China being called the Middle Kingdom? Ancient translation of the word for China, because they actually use the same two kanji in Chinese to indicate China. And the name for Kankoku is also the same kanji that Korean use to indicate their country. So Chugoku, China. Hai. Keizai means economics. Hai. This one is computer. Everybody got that one? Computer. Hai. So this one is hai, business. Business. Hai. Business. Hai. Rekishi means history. Hai.
Akasan.
That's
Oh,
not
oh gosh,
wrong.
Okasan.
Hai. Okasan means mother. Hai.
Otosan.
Otosan,
Father.
father. Ikura,
How much?
how much. Hai.
Yen.
En
Yen.
means yen, yes. I don't know where the Y came from. It's not the way Japanese people say it. It's en.
Don't they use sort of like a Y symbol? Like a
Yeah, they
symbol?
use a Y with the cross pieces, but that's not where we got it from, because I think this became the yen symbol because that's what Americans call yen. Because before they started using the symbol, they already had the kanji.
Maybe like, and someone put an E sound in there and it became E.
I'm not sure why it is the way it is. I don't really know. I do know that this kanji yen, this,
Just went with this.
somebody might have just spelled it wrong, who knows? But yen is the American pronunciation. En is how they say it in Japanese. And this kanji for en means the currency now, but one of its original older meanings was something round, which which makes sense because ancient Japanese coins were generally round. So, this is takai, expensive, and it also can be literally high or tall. Okay, so just like English, high has double meaning, high prices, high building. Takai can mean tall for a person, tall for a building, and it can also mean a high price. Takai desu.
What about the kanji for that?
Hi. That's the kanji, and you can see that the taka part is embedded in the kanji. The i hangs off the end. And that's because Japanese adjectives can conjugate, and so the i has to hang off the end so that you can change it to something else. Okay, and we don't get into that till next semester.
Is there,
Right.
the taka sort of, to me, it looks like a building, is that like?
That may be because of the origin of the character.
Or like
This is
time.
an ancient Chinese character that goes way back. I don't know what the original ancient drawing looked like, but it always to me was reminiscent of those stone lanterns that you see in Asian gardens. But I think those are also sort of modeled after like a miniature pagoda or something. And so, yeah, it may very well have come from like an image of a Buddhist pagoda from, 500 BC or something, because Chinese architecture, the pagodas were just about the highest thing in the skyline in ancient China. They didn't build a whole lot of tall buildings back then, except for religious structures. So that may very well be where takai comes from, because it sure does look like a multi-story building shape, doesn't it? So this one is Irashaimase. Welcome to our store, yes. And you will hear this in every single store, everywhere in Japan, probably from multiple people if there's enough to the store for there to be multiple employees. If they didn't all see you come in at the same time. They see you, they say irashaimase. Even the mynah bird in one store I was in, he knew how to say irashaimase. Every time the door jangled from the little bell on it, every single time somebody left or came in the store, irashaimase, just like the people sounded.
How would you respond when somebody says that?
You don't have to. You can give like a little bow or nod of the head, like you're acknowledging that you heard them, but you don't really have to say anything in particular necessarily. If you've got a question, it's your opportunity to say sumimasen and ask your question. So like if you're looking for something in particular, while you've still got their attention because they're saying irashaimase, you can ask, where would I find blah blah blah, blank wa doko desu ka, okay, and then onegai shimasu. This blank indicates that you can put a noun here, and it means that you're asking for that noun. So, for example, you go into a store, you're looking for books. Hon o onegai shimasu would be some books, please. Onegai shimasu. Okay. This one.
Kudasai is,
Also, please give me.
oh,
So,
this is it right there.
yeah,
But
there
like,
is.
is there, would you use them like differently or like sort of?
There's a
interchangeable?
slight difference between these two. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. For now, the way they're showing them and using them in this chapter, you really don't have to worry about a difference yet. Okay? Later on, we'll kind of differentiate them a little bit more. But for now, don't worry about onegai shimasu and kudasai are both asking someone to please give you something or do you a favor of doing something for them. Okay? The one that you do need to make a contrast with is coming up in a second. This one is ja, which is like, well then, as in, ja, ikimashou, well then, let's go, or ja, kore o kudasai, well then, give me this one please. Right. This this is the one that you need to differentiate from kudasai and onegaishimasu. Dozo is not please as in please give me, it's please as in here, please take this. I'm giving it to you. Okay, so you say, ja pen o dozo. That's like, here, have this pen. Okay, so if somebody says, for example, pen o kudasai, please give me a pen. Hai, pen o dozo. Here you go, here's a pen. Okay, so that's the blank o dozo is, here, I'm giving it to you. Cultural note. If you're giving something to your friend, you can just hand it to them. Don't worry about it. If you're giving something to somebody who is a higher social status than yourself, you actually hand it to them with two hands. If you can't reach with both hands, you reach with your right hand and you put your left hand on your right elbow. You do not do it lefty style because that's actually considered rude. You do it righty style even if you're left-handed. Even if your right hand is actually further away and it's awkward, you kind of angle your body so that you can reach. Hi.
What if you were injured in such a way that you can't?
Then you would have an excuse for doing it left-handed.
Is there like
A Japanese person in that situation would actually explain in Japanese. They would say something like, sorry, my right hand is injured, therefore I'm giving it to you with my left, sorry to be rude. They would actually do a little speech like that, and if that were actually the case for you literally, you would want to kind of learn a little set speech like that for those situations, and you would memorize it very quickly because you'd be using it so much. Right?
If you're giving someone money, would you just give it to them with one hand or both?
You would definitely use both hands to give money,
Okay.
and you wouldn't give cash out in the open. You would put it in an envelope and hand them the envelope.
But I mean, if you're paying somewhere.
Okay, if you're just paying like in a shop for something you're just buying, if you can still hand it with both hands. If it's just bills and you don't have any cash involved, any coins rather involved, you can hand it to them like this.
Okay.
If it's a credit card and it's not a swipe it yourself deal, you would hand it to them with both hands, even though it's little. You would still use, both thumbs at least. And if it's a situation where you've got like correct change, exact change, and you're giving them some bills and a handful of coins as well, you could sort of balance it all in one hand and do like this. Or do it as two separate actions, hand them the bills first and then hand them the handful of coins like that. But actually, no, wait a minute. Scratch all of that. In most shops in Japan, the issue won't come up because what they're going to do is they're going to give you a cute little tray to put your money on. And then you're going to put your money on the tray and hand them back the tray with two hands.
Okay. Even in just like.
Even
a
in like
convenience store?
supermarkets and stuff.
Okay.
Is this
Yeah.
new to like keep germs from spreading, or?
It's mostly just politeness thing, I think, because you're supposed to hand stuff with two hands, and it's really awkward to do with a handful of money. But if the money is on a little tray, then you can do it. Also, handing over money directly is just considered uncouth.
Yeah.
So if you're not putting it in an envelope,
is it considered like they're a beggar and you're
I'm not really sure where the origin of the custom is from. That would be a good thing to look up on the internet, see if you can find out. But I do know that if you're giving money as a gift, it always goes in an envelope. And if you're paying like a private tutor or something, it goes in an envelope as if it were a gift. Hi.
I was gonna ask, how often, it's just, like, how often do you use it on a daily basis? Like, every time you go to the store, or?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're handing something to somebody else, even if it's like, hey, pass the salt shaker at dinner with your family, if it's your dad or your grandfather asking or something like that, somebody older than you, you would pick up the salt shaker with one hand, because it's kind of ridiculous to pick that up with two hands, but you would pick it up with one hand and hand it across the table this way. And if it was going to be hard to hand it across the table without getting your arm close to the food, you would actually stand up to hand it to them so that you're not like threatening to get your elbow in the food or something.
How about when you're checking out? Like, do they do the same thing where you can put things on like sort of a conveyor belt
Yeah,
sort of thing?
yeah, so you put stuff on the conveyor belt,
Okay.
and they check it through just like at Publix and put it in the bags. But when you're ready to pay, they will, calculate the cost and give you a little tray to put it on, or the little tray might just be sitting there out. You know how there's like a little platform for check writers in Publix? That little platform might already have a little tray sitting there. And rather than ignoring that tray, which would be natural for an American in Japan for the first time, you're supposed to actually see oh, there's a little tray here. Okay, that's where I put my money. And then you hand them the tray with 2 hands. Okay, so it's just a little culture note.
Is
So
there,
those
is there a reason the left hand is considered rude?
Probably it goes back to the fact that lefties are just a minority in humanity overall, and so because Japanese culture is so much about fitting in rather than standing out, Japanese families tended over the course of history to train their lefty children to be right-handed. And so like 99% of the population was right-handed. And so it's just natural to do everything right-handed because it doesn't matter if you were meant to be a lefty. Japanese society didn't let you be a lefty. Everybody was right-handed. That's changing a little bit these days, but it's still, I think most families still probably do it. It's just, the left hand is associated with just being, I don't know, being a misfit.
Well, in India, they do it because you wipe your,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, but Japan doesn't have that custom around it necessarily, although, I don't know, maybe that kind of transferred with Buddhism. It's very possible.
Yeah.
But if so, that's not like the known reason. It's just sort of accepted in Japanese society that everybody's supposed to be right-handed for some reason.
If you were paying at a supermarket or something and you're handing it with 2 hands, is that the only action, or do you give a side
Sometimes
bow,
you
or-
do a little bit of a bow, especially if you want to be polite to the cashier. Let's say the cashier is some, Obatan who looks like she's about 70 years old, and you're so young, you would maybe do a little bit of a bow to be polite because she's your elder. So, in Japanese society, age trumps any other kind of social status. If somebody looks like they're 100 years old, they're senior to everybody. Doesn't matter if she's like a little old lady who was a housewife her whole life and her husband was a blue-collar laborer, she outranks everybody because she's 100 years old.
If they're like senile and arrogant, do you still, is it considered rude to not listen to them, where your parents be like, you should have listened to them? Or-
Yeah, probably. Yeah, age trumps everything in Japan.
That's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, if they're acting weird and, you just kind of, you're polite and you get away from them, then you can do what you want once they're out of earshot. You don't have to actually do what they told you to do if it's something that's out of their sight. So, if she's like giving you advice on your love life or something, you can just nod and smile and pretend to agree with her and then go do what you want, I think that's sort of universal. Okay, this one is domo. Okay, and this one is sort of like thank you in some circumstances. It's also sometimes like very, as in domo arigatou gozaimasu is thank you very much. Okay, domo sumimasen is like, oh, I'm so sorry to put you to all this trouble, or something like that. Sumimasen by itself is excuse me, but sometimes it also gets used for thank you, especially when the person is like going out of their way to do something for you, and so you're saying kind of thank you and I'm sorry for all the trouble all in one word, and domo makes that more grateful sounding. So domo sumimasen is like, oh, I'm so sorry to put you with all this trouble. I really appreciate all your help.
Isn't domo also used when receiving something, like if they're handing you a pen, you say domo?
Yes, yeah, so domo can work for receiving something. It depends on, again, status relationship, whether domo is polite enough or not. Yeah, so like the waitress comes and refills your water glass, domo might be good enough. Your mom's friend gives you a birthday gift, domo isn't enough. Okay, make sense?
So is it sort of like a, I guess, more casual form of arigato? Or-
Yeah, it's in some contexts it is, but we'll play around with it some more. It'll make more sense in context.
Can I,
Hey,
like, if you're in a room, I just want more clarification, this is gonna sound weird. If you're in a room full of 10 people, one guy's 90 years old, the rest are, let's say, 20s to 40s, and this guy tells you the oldest guy tells you to hit your younger brother because he likes slapstick comedy or something, I don't know. Would it be considered rude to not hit him? Or,
you could politely refuse
Okay.
to do something like that, and you would probably apologize for not doing it, but you still don't have to do it because that's kind of an unreasonable demand.
When would that situation ever arise?
I don't.
just,
yeah.
that's the only, like,
He couldn't
metaphorical
think of a
example
realistic
of-
scenario, but I understand what you meant. If the elderly person is
Well, okay,
if the elderly person is telling you to do something that you feel is unreasonable and you really don't want to do it at all, you can sort of apologize for not doing it as a way of getting out of doing it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
It's at least better than my band director, right?
Okay.
We're gonna go at a faster tempo, but then we're gonna go at the same tempo, and then everyone's like, what?
Okay. Okay, let's read this one. Hi, janai desu is the negative form of des. So last chapter we had like, 2年生desu ka? Iie, 3年生desu. Right? Is so-and-so a second year student? No, she's a third year student. Now we can actually say, iie, 2年生janai desu. No, she's not a second year student. Okay, so any sentence that ended in des, if you wanted to change it to, no, they're not, whatever it was, you can use janai desu there. Okay? Let's do numbers real quick, because we took a long time on that, and we're running out of time. So, 100 is 100. Okay. 200 is 200. 300 is san. Byaku, yes. Notice the pronunciation shift. 400? Yonhyaku, back to hyaku. 500? 600? Ropyaku, notice the pronunciation shift. Ropyaku. Is 700. 800 is? Hapyaku. Hi, hapyaku. 900? Kyuhyaku. Hi. 1,000 is sen. Notice there's no such thing as 1000. Okay? Sen. And then nisen, san, zen for 3,000. San zen. Okay. 4,000, yon sen. 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, hassen. Now notice it's not hachisen, it's hassen. Okay. 9,000, jusen. 10,000 is not jusen. There's no such thing as jusen. Instead, they do ichiman. Okay, new word, man. So all the 10,000s are man. Okay, so man, ichiman, and then niman is 20,000, sanman, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 is goman, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, and that actually does go on. Juman would be what we would call 100,000. Okay, makes sense? And it keeps going like that, and it actually does Juman, and then the next place value would be hyakuman, and then after that it actually goes to senman, and then you get a new vocabulary word. Okay?
So
Oh.
10
So is
million
that-
is,
So it actually goes to, I think ends up being 100 million for senman. Let's see. So ichi, ju, hyaku, sen, man, juman, right? Hyakuman, senman. Okay, so senman is here. Okay, which is, that would be like 10 million, right? So 100 million would be oku. Oku would be here. Okay, so we're not going to learn oku in this class. You don't really ever need oku unless you're buying a house in Japan, or maybe a sports car. But anything that you actually would need to buy in Japan, realistically speaking, you can handle just going as far as the mon series, things that use mon. So even if you're buying, like, I don't know, a fancy kimono, or, you know, I don't know, paying rent on an apartment or something, mons will deal with it. So you really don't ever need higher numbers than that in real life.
Would Oku go the same way that it did like Goju?
I think with oku it would be like, you know, oku, ju oku, hyaku oku, and so on. But at that point you're getting into like national budget kinds of numbers. So it's not something that we have to deal with all that often. The only time I've ever really encountered oku in real life was in like newspapers talking about, you know, budget issues or housing prices or something like that. Okay, so Qmon and then Jumon and so forth. Okay, let's read some, what's that? Menu. So some menu items in Japanese. Teishoku. If you've ever been to a fancy Japanese restaurant that has teishoku, it's like a black lacquer tray with like sections on it, or a lot of little dishes on it, and the different dishes are all part of a set menu. So you cannot mix and match and say, instead of the pickled vegetables, can I get extra rice? No. The answer will be no. Teishoku. Okay, this one is? Hi, spaghetti. Exactly what do you think it is? Kare, curry, right? Soba, buckwheat noodles. Udon, wheat noodles. Sandwich. Sandwich. Yes. Okay, under sandwich, I lost my cursor.
Ice cream?
Ice cream. Yes, American favorite, right? Okay, and under that we have ramen. Everybody knows what ramen is, right?
The staple of college students.
Right. Yeah. Hi, hamburger.
Hamburger.
Yes. Hi. Kohi, coffee. Hi. Cola. Hi. Soda. Sarada. Salad. Yes, sarada. Kocha. Tea, black tea. Yes, as opposed to ocha, which is Japanese green tea. And matcha is the really thick green tea that make in tea ceremony. And then there are a zillion other types, including mugicha, which is barley tea. Right?
Is that based off the Japanese word? Or I mean Chinese word?
The Chinese word kocha, yes.
I call it cha as well at home.
Right, yeah, cha is from Chinese first. Yeah, cha came from China before it got to Japan. So, yeah, cha is a Chinese word also. It's the same kanji, and it just happens to be something that Japanese people can actually pronounce kind of as the original was. So, and then kocha, I think in Chinese they call that one hongcha. Yeah. Yeah. And the next one after kocha is juice, which doesn't just mean 100% juice. In Japanese, it can be, like high C tang kinds of drinks. So juice, very often the packaging will actually tell you like 30% juice and 70% who knows what. So probably mostly sugar.
So you said that matcha is the green tea?
Matcha is the thick, bitter green tea that they use in tea ceremony. Ocha is the thin green tea that's daily drink.
Say matcha green tea, or would it just?
Matcha and ocha are two different kinds of green tea.
Yeah, I know it's
Yeah,
really.
but yes, to say matcha green tea is sort of redundant.
Okay,
Yes.
so I think I was asking, like, 'cause
Yeah,
I saw,
matcha is the stuff that's the color of this notebook,
yeah, you know,
not see-through.
my friend and I were
Yeah.
in Orlando. We went to the
Yeah.
Chinatown area, and we were looking, and they had a green tea powder that was
Yeah.
supposed to be matcha green tea, and they called it matcha green tea, and then you just told, that's
Yeah,
why I was
that's for the sake of ignorant gaijin who don't know what matcha is. Because even calling it tea at all is redundant. Because matcha is literally, well, the kanji is literally like real tea. Like authentic tea. Like this is the real stuff. All the other stuff is just imitation. Matcha. Because matcha green tea is a less processed kind of tea. The way they make tea, matcha is less processed than kocha. So that's part of the differentiation. Okay, and then after juice, we have also got another drink. Miruku. Yes, from a cow. If you're talking about like soy milk and whatever, there are different words for that stuff.
What's beer?
Biru. Yeah, biru. Not to be confused with biru, which is a building. So that hyphen in the middle that makes it an extended vowel, very important.
What would brewery be?
Are you thinking biru no biru? Very possible. Very, very possible. Yeah. Okay, so kyoshitsu, literally education building, or education room rather, kyoshitsu. So, education room, classroom. Right. Okay, some classroom language. Hai, wakarimashita. I understood you. I understood, I understand. I got it. Wakarimasen. I don't get it. I don't understand. Okay? Hai, yukkuri itte kudasai. Here's the please. Say it slowly. Hai. Mou ichido itte kudasai. Please say it one more time. Hai. Chotto matte kudasai. Please wait a little bit. Okay, so notice that kudasai can go on the ending of a lot of things. Okay, these are actually a verb form that we don't learn till lesson 6, so next semester. Okay, so some more kyoshitsu language. Kokuban, board. Okay. Hon, book. Right. Hi, keshigomu. Some of you have them on the end of your pencil. Eraser, yes, keshigomu. It's literally, specifically a pencil eraser, the kind that you use to erase pencil. This is called a kokuban keshi, a board eraser, kokuban keshi. But those guys are keshigomu. Okay. This one is tsukue, desk. Okay, tsukue.
So is keshi to erase?
Yes, keshimasu is the verb to erase, so the keshi part is like a truncated form of the verb that's been made into a part of the noun.
Gomu sounds like gum or something.
Yeah, gomu is from gum. Think like art gum, gum eraser. So keshigomu. That's why it's half hiragana, half katakana.
Are these online? On campus?
Yeah, this is on canvas, yes. Okay, kaban, bag. The next one is pen. And enpitsu is a pencil, right? Jisho, dictionary again, right? Video, video, yes, which mostly these days is replaced by DVD, because video kind of implies VHS, but I think they still use it for modern videos too, but DVD is also used for a DVD. I think if you're watching like a YouTube video or something, they would use video again. So that's kind of gotten repurposed to mean a modern style video. Terebi, television, yes. Right, terebi. What you're sitting in, chair, right? Doa, height, what you came in through. Mado, window, yes. Okay, and on your mado you might want to hang some curtain. Yes, curtains, curtain. Curtain, and then denki, electric lights. Denki literally means electricity, but it's also the colloquial term for electric lights. Not to be confused with candles or whatever.
So if you're talking about like an electric bill, you would use this?
Yeah. Okay.
Do they actually use like doa for doors?
Yeah.
Do they have their own?
Yeah, well, mon is a door that's more of a gate, and then traditional Japanese homes have shoji and fusuma, which are two different kinds of sliding doors that Japanese traditional homes had, but a Western style door that opens out, that's doa. That's the difference. Okay, so doa is a Western style one. Fusuma is a door that slides to the side that's solid. Not very solid, it's not like solid wood or anything, but it's not see-through. And then shoji are the ones that slide to the side, and they've got that translucent white paper covering like squares, and so you can sort of see light through it, but you can't really see what's going on the other side of it until you open it. But those are shoji and fusuma. So they've got different terminology for those. Okay, let's look at some content in the textbook itself. Okay, so we're going to go through some numbers to start with. 69ページを見ましょう. Okay, and we're going to start with Koru-san. Okay, so 69ページ. You were right there, yes. Okay, 69. I think I just went past it, or
Close.
69. There. That one. There. That's it. Okay, so part A, number 34 is pronounced. はい、34ですね。B、3?
67?
はい、そうです。
83.
はい。 はい、99。B、大木さん。 はい、そうですね。125。ジュリアンさん。
515。
はい、515。はい、G。
603?
はい、H。
850?
50。はい、850。はい。
1300。
はい、そうです。安成さん。
3400.
はい、そうですね。OK、K。小野さん。 100, so Q, just look up at the box, what's 900?
Oh. Yaku.
Q100, right.
Okay.
Look at the difference, okay?
Yaku.
Yeah, 8000 Q100 versus 8000 Q. 8000 Q100, 8000 Q.
Okay.
See the difference?
Yeah.
If you don't say anything after the Q, that assumes it's in the ones place. If you say something after it, it places it, which column it belongs in, okay? So this is 8000 Q100. If you put the 9 here instead, that would be 8000 Q10, and so forth. They don't necessarily state the zeros in long numbers like these, but they do have to still place the digits that are part of that number. じゃあ、ポールさん、L お願いします。
3万5000
はい、3万5千です。はい。
Uh, Rokuman, Yosen,
4千。
Yonsen, Go, Gohyaku.
はい、そうですね。
That's
6万4千5百。はい、デミさん。
92340
はい、そうです。はい、質問がありますか Any questions about numbers? Okay, there's more practice for these in your homework, workbook homework as well. Okay, so part B, we're going to have Sierra-san read the question and Hori-san read the answer for the example, so we can hear the pattern that we're going to follow.
Go.
Okay, どうぞ。
これはいくらですか
80円です。
Hi, and notice that they're giving you the name of the item in Japanese, okay, and the picture, and the price. Okay, so they're helping you learn your vocabulary by giving you the name and the picture to start with. Okay, so Kori-san, we're going to get you to ask the question for Ichiban, and Julian's going to answer.
普通はいくらですか
50円です。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ、Julian-san, ask question for Iban.
傘はいくらですか。
傘はいくらですか？ね。あ。
1000円です。
はい、そうです。で、3番、質問どうぞ。
新聞はいくらですか？110円です。
はい、110円です。はい、質問をどうぞ。4番。では、
本はいくらですか？
はい、本はいくらですか？
1500円です。
はい、そうですね。はい、どうぞ。5番を聞いてください。
靴はいくらですか。
3500円です。
はい、そうですね。Okay, and we lost Dylan, so you're going to ask Sierra-san. Oh, no, Paul-san. Okay, どうぞ。
時計はいくらですか
10銭
No.
1万円です。
はい、そうですね。どうぞ。
カバンはいくら
カバンは
いくらですか？
Man, desu ka?
2万
No, en desu ka?
です。
Des, or desk. Yes, I'm not asking the question.
はい、未満年ですね。
です
はい。じゃあ8番どうぞ。
辞書はいくらですか？
8000円です。
はい、8000円ですね。はい、9番。
ジーンズいくらですか？
ジンズ
はいくらですか？
9000円です。
はい、そうですね。
ノートはいくらですか？
No, don't skip 自転車。
Oh, sorry, I had it written down. I saw G and I immediately
Oh.
went down. Sorry, Jin Tensho.
自転車。
Oh, sorry. Jin Tensho wa ikura desu ka?
25000円です。
はい、そうですね。どうぞ。
ノートはいくらですか？
450円です。
はい、and since Dylan missed a turn, we're gonna let you ask him about the tat.
はい。
He's gonna ask Dylan
Oh,
because
got it, sorry.
that's okay. We'll get to you, don't worry.
帽子はいくらですか？
We're on number 12, the hat. Nissan.
Nissan.
Hapyaku.
Yaku desu.
N. Yes. Remember the currency name, N.
And,
Okay, so try it one more time.
Nissan, Yaku, and desu.
Hi, Nissan, 800円です。はい。Okay, and now I'm gonna have you and Jared do part C, the question and answer from the example.
いくらですか？
はい。And いつはいくらですか? And now it's telling you.
100円です。
はい、100円です. And this one is a little different because the way it's supposed to work is one person is looking at picture A and the other person's looking at picture B, and you're only seeing some of the information, and so you're asking for the information that you're missing. But we're going to do it as a full class exercise, so we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing. So you have to flip back and forth
Okay,
between
so we're
this
just-
page and page 80.
The word is on page 80, right?
Some of them, the answer is on page 80, some of them, the answer is on your current page. The labels are disappearing, so now you have to actually remember what these vocabulary words are. Okay, so you're going to ask about the umbrella, and Audrey's going to answer.
傘はいくらです。傘はいくらですか？
はい
1200円です。
San or sen? There you go. Sen.
1200円です。
はい、1200円ですね. Okay, now you're asking about jitensha, the bicycle.
自転車はいくらですか？
3万600円です。
はい、そうですね. Okay, and now coming back to Dylan again because he needs another turn since he was out. So you're asking him about the watch.
時計はいくらですか
1万円で、1万円です。
はい、そうですね. Okay, now you're going to ask Paul about the Japanese dictionary there, and he's going to find the answer on page 80. Okay, so
I
the
just
same.
remembered the word for it.
Okay, so dictionary is, who remembers? Jisho. Okay. Okay, so how are you going to ask how much is the dictionary?
Jisho, いくらです。
Okay, jisho wa.
Uh,
You need the particle mark
Okay.
the topic marker wa, so jisho wa ikura desu ka? Let's try it one more time.
What was the first one?
Jisho wa.
Jisho wa ikura desu ka?
Hai. Okay, Kono-san.
Sansen nanakyaku en desu.
はい、3700円ですね。はい。じゃあ、you're gonna ask about the shoes.
靴はいくらですか？
はい、靴はいくらですか？
4500 円です。
はい、そうですね。
I don't remember how to say t-shirt. I know it's t-shirts.
はい。
T-shirts はいくらですか？
9000です。
9000 currency?
9000円です。
はい、そうですね。はい。Okay, you're asking about the bag?
カバンはいくらですか？
8000円です。
はい、8000円です。And you're asking Julian about the jeans.
ジーンがチーズはいくらですか？7000円です。
はい、そうですね。Okay, 質問がありますか? Any questions about those? So if you're just asking about the jeans and there's only the one pair, that's good enough, right? Jeans wa ikura desu ka? How much are the jeans? Or if all the jeans are the same price, this works, right? Jeans wa ikura desu ka? Right? If you wanted to specify this pair of jeans right here, or that pair of jeans near you, or that pair of jeans far over there, that's where we get into the coastal adult words that I was talking about before. So I wanted to show you the difference between the kore sore are dore and the kono sono ano dono. Okay? And this will help you get the homework done for the next segment. Okay? So, kore wa nan desu ka? What's this asking?
これは this here, what is?
Right. So for example, you're in Japan for the first time. Your new host brother, say, speaks zero English. Absolutely zip. Okay? And you're trying to learn some vocabulary from him. So hopefully he's nice and patient, and everywhere you go, you ask him, これは何ですか? 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 Right?
He's not gonna be patient.
So, but you get the idea, right? So you've got a friend in Japan who's taking you around, and you can learn nouns by asking, これは何ですか? Right? Let's say that he answers you, okay? So you ask him, これは何ですか? And he tells you, 本です. It's a book, right? So now you know the word for book, 本です, right? You get it? Okay, so that's how you can use これそれあれどれ.
Well, how do you ask, how do you say this?
Later.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just stick to keeping it simple for now. Okay, so
The whole stupid
本です.
word, I'm like, what is this? Like, well, don't you know it's a book? But I was like, more like, how do you say this in Japanese?
Right.
So I feel like that may be
Yeah.
the more appropriate question.
Yeah, well, for now, we're keeping it simple. Okay, this is the structure this chapter is teaching. The structure you're asking about is more complex and it
Sorry.
incorporates other grammar points.
Oh no.
Okay, so let's say now, after you've figured out that this is called book in Japanese, let's say you want to actually go buy it. Okay, so you take it up to the clerk in the store, because you guys are actually in a bookstore, and you say, この本はいくらですか? Do you see what just happened? What's the difference between これ and この?
You have to have a noun attached.
Yes. Okay, so この, because it ends with a no, that's your clue. It directly attaches to a noun. Just like 私の本 or お母さんの鉛筆, right? Or 私の専門 or たけしさんのお父さん, right? No directly connects a noun to another noun. In this case, it is part of a pronoun that directly connects to a noun. Okay? So one way of thinking of it is that kono is a modified version of kore, and instead of adding the no, they replaced the re with a no. Does that make sense? So kore wa magic pen desu. Yes, that's what they call it. And I could say, kono magic pen wa ikura desu ka? How much is this magic marker? Or, you know, later on we'll learn other things you can do with it, like this pen is blue, or other things like that, right? But at the very minimum, you can make the how much is it question. And then let's say, you know, person A is holding up a pen or a book that they want to buy and asking, kono hon wa ikura desu ka? How much is this book that I'm holding that I want to buy? And let's say the store clerk is over here answering, and they can say, they're going to shift because they're farther away. I'm here holding the book. Ken is the store clerk, so he's going to say, sono hon, right? Sono hon wa, and then the price. Yes. Make sense? So, for example, I don't know, go, yaku, and desu, for example. Okay, so sono hon wa 500円です, or whatever the price tag happens to be, right? Make sense?
Not a comic book, it wouldn't be that.
No, no, I was thinking more like a little manga, you know?
Not even that.
Well, not if you're buying it here. You go to Japan and the small manga and things are a lot cheaper than what we're used to here. So anyway, but you get how kono and kore get used differently and how kono and sono get used differently. So can you then apply the rule to doing some of these activities?
Yes.
Okay, so you can prepare for Thursday. We will do Roman numeral 2 and 3 probably. Hopefully we'll get through all of that. We might even get to Roman numeral 4. Okay. So, 質問がありますか? Any questions? Okay. The way I did today's class is different from the way I did it in this morning's section, so you might want to listen to both recordings. One thing we didn't have time for because we spent some time at the beginning of class talking about other stuff, so we didn't do the 3 times repeat on the vocab. So that means you guys need to focus a little bit more on memorizing the vocab because we didn't do that repetitive practice in class. Okay? Anybody have questions? I will be here while I'm packing up, so.